Welcome to Remnant 101 at the City on a Hill Church. I'm Associate Pastor Benji Lalean. God's remnant gets things in order before they see things happen. A couple of verses I do want to read. First, we're going to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1, which says, "Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come, and the years draw near when you say, I have no pleasure in them." And then we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 9, verses 3 through 5. Again, we've read this several times because this has to do with the prophecy over our ministry from 1991. It really helps put into perspective what I just read. It says, "Now the glory of the God of Israel had gone up from the cherub, where it had been, to the threshold of the temple, and he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And the Lord said to him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. To the others, he said in my hearing, Go after him through the city and kill. Do not let your eyes spare, nor have any pity." So, concerning what the title of the message is, where you get things in order before you see things happen, this is one of those areas where the devil does a lot of his tapping on the shoulder to get in your ear while simultaneously doing some of his best work to stay hidden. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Well, even if you go as far as to believe our prophet when he says destruction is coming or the degrees of separation we need to exercise, the devil can keep you in check by convincing you that anything that you still have is fine as long as you drop everything as soon as you see something begin to happen. The devil stays hidden really well here because he still has you thinking that you're doing better than everybody else because you heard what the prophet said. But the question is, did you obey it? Now, this is where the principle of the ark comes into play, because during the time of Noah, the ark door was closed before anything happened, meaning it was already too late for anyone else. Now, I'll get to that in a bit, but the point is that God is looking for people who are so all in on being holy and separate. The moment they hear about destruction, they will not wait. They won't want to wait for anything. They'll do whatever it takes to make sure that they're covered before it happens. Now, physically, people have no problem with this because they do things like that all the time with much smaller matters, physical matters, like preparing for big storms or preparing for cold and flu season or whatever. But if we were to say this to people, particularly Christians, from a spiritual perspective, they would probably accuse us of living in fear. Now, that'd be true if we were viewing the works of the devil with this perspective, but that's not how we handle him. We work to recognize his works and cast him out with confidence and authority in the name of Jesus. But when we as the remnant get things in order before anything happens, yes, we are living with fear, but the fear of the Lord. And that's what holy people never let go of. We so recognize what God is capable of that we will do whatever it takes to secure our position on God's side. In our case, that's on the invisible ark. And speaking of which, here's a little twist. Those who are separate and holy are not only acting before things happen, they're actually working to make them happen. Why? Because we don't have any other choice. For example, God was not going to send the rain until Noah finished the ark, because Noah had a promise from God, which included Noah having a job of his own. But Noah had this promise because he was separate in the first place. He knew what God was capable of, which led him to keep that holy fear inside of him. So he would make sure he and his family were covered before God ever came to him with the news of global destruction. But when God came to him with that news, Noah had no choice but to work to make it happen by building the ark. And once something started to happen, it was too late for everyone else because the ark door was already closed. Now, that's what we're doing with this invisible ark, because when all of this happens, Jesus is going to come back. So we have to work to make that happen by separating and getting things in order now, because we have no other choice. The verse I read in Ecclesiastes may seem a little bit out of place at first glance, but when you put it into perspective of how we are supposed to conduct ourselves as the remnant, and then you add what I read happened in Ezekiel 9, you realize that it's telling us to remember to fear the Lord early on, to give us the motivation that we need to get things in order well before it's too late, ensuring we are among those that receive the mark on our foreheads, sighing and crying at the abominations happening in what now is the dead church world is a clear indication of a desire to separate. We believe that God has found people who do that here. So continue doing that with us more and more. God bless you.